Week number 4 of the high school football season. Time flies when you're having fun.
Fastest 9 weeks of the year, man.
Absolutely. As the Bears move to 3-0 with a win at Williamsburg, get ready for Tipton here for their final non-district game of the season. Jason, let's go back first. Big first half. Special teams kept Williamsburg in it. They made a game of it, but the Bears held on. They did what they needed to do to come out with a 3-0 record.
I don't really know how to respond. I was talking with Coach Peterson. My words were, that was one of the weirdest games I've ever seen.
Friday the 13th with a full moon. I don't know what else.
And I think there's probably some bearing and some meaning in that. But if you were to look just at the numbers, if you go look at the numbers on paper of that game, 360 yards of offense to 105, you'd think, oh wow, that was 40-6, or at the end of the third quarter, it's 312-10. Yeah, but there are three phases of the game. There's offense, defense, and special teams. Williamsburg special teams won the battle by a large margin, and they had basically 3 touchdowns on special teams. If you do well on special teams, limit your turnovers. You're going to be in every game you play.
Yeah, and that was, I think, the key, too. They had 2 big turnovers in the first half, 3 actually, that the Bears scored off of. So there's 21 points for the Bears off turnovers. The Bears had the 3 kick returns that basically negated those right there. So it was an even ball game aside from that.
Take that away, and who knows what the score is going to be now. But the good news is the Bears came out, beat a very good, a 2A ranked football team. They were ranked 10th in the state by one of the publications. A team, again, we talked about it, how they've got such a great program from top to bottom year after year. Mm-hmm. And they're going to do some damage, and we're your biggest fans for probably the rest of the year, Williamsburg, for the RPI factor. But anyway.
Yeah, and, in that game, like you said, defensively just played lights out again. Yeah. And offense really started to grow a little bit more. We've seen that each and every week, but, just continuing to get more confidence with that offensive line, more confidence with Gavin Hirschman at quarterback, getting more trust in the receivers. And so, it's a situation where you're just seeing that continue to build as we head into the 4th game of the year now.
You're seeing Gavin Hirschman come of age, so to speak. In game 1 to 2, he improved. Game 2 to 3, he really improved. No offense, but he had to replace the best quarterback statistically in the history of West Branch football. And he's doing a pretty good job of it. Why was he completing almost 67% of his passes? He's got 6 touchdowns to 1 interception. Last game he had 242 or 243 yards passing and 3 scores. And he's starting to find a very comfortable receiver. Find a good formula is if you can find a good receiver, someone you can trust. And I think that's Trey Eagle and Wyatt Goodale. Yeah. Had a fantastic ball game last week, and hopefully they can build forward as they get into that Cedar County Trophy rivalry game with Tipton this week, man.
Yeah, head over to Tipton, and it's one of those games that through the years it's always been fun. It's always exciting. You know that both teams are going to come ready to play and ready to just take care of business out there on the field. Tipton, a new coach this year. They've been changing things around a little bit, and new guy. He's got little pedigree. Some guy named Kurt Blatt was his coach back in the day.
Who's that?
He's got a couple wins in his day.
Okay.
Maybe 1 or 2 more than Coach Peterson.
8 state titles or something in 11 years at Harlan. Yeah.
So
that guy.
He knows a little bit about how to be successful at the football game. So he's trying to get some things turned around, and he's got a really good crop. You've got guys that are seniors this year for Tipton that have been playing varsity for at least 2, some of them for 3 years. So, they know how the game is played.
They do, and they part of that, you want to call it funky? With that, I don't know how you
old school
system of the single wing and this and that. If you watch Sigourney Keota play, it's a similar case, and I always word it as the Barnum and Bailey circus of football, because moving parts everywhere, you don't know what's going on here. A guy's out of a cannon here, a guy's jumping up and on stilts over here. You just don't know what's going on, and you've got the stats in your hand. You're going to see in the last week they went against Durant 21-13. They had 3 guys over 85 yards rushing. They got 3 guys over 175 yards rushing in 3 weeks. So basically, they're all averaging over 60 yards rushing. Yeah. It's not just a one-headed monster. It's not just this guy, pay attention to him. Like last week, we really wanted to pay attention to Caden Weegan. And we forgot a little bit about Austin Barnes on special teams. We didn't really forget about him, Burns rather. But there's no head topper. You got Wilkins and Lentons and Bierman. You got to watch them all, and you never know who's got the ball.
Oh, and then you throw in, Hermiston or Lake Anderson. There's just a little bit here and there.
Pete and Elijah, that last name's been around once or twice. His Uncle Mike, one of the better football players I've ever seen at the high school level.
Yeah, so, like you say, it is that wing. There's going to be a lot of motion, a lot of movement, going back and forth, misdirection. So really, it's going to come down to the defense has got to play very disciplined football. Don't let those backside lanes open up. Don't get fooled and think that the ball's going there when it's really going here. And make sure that if you are matched up in space, you got to make those tackles.
Well, you said at the onset of this segment that this defense has been playing very, very well. But through 3 weeks, they've given up about 110, 115 yards per game. West Branch has. Well, if they can do that on Friday night, if West Branch can get within, 150 yards or less, if any team can do that to Tipton, you're probably going to be pretty successful. I mean, even with 200 yards or less, I'd feel like it'd be a pretty good night for West Branch. But yeah, you got to have your keys. You got to be willing to tackle almost anything that's moving except for a lineman, because evidently that's illegal. But they're going to be tested like it's just a different test. There's no wide open stuff like every other team runs. This is a team that if you see an empty formation, you're still going to see a tight end that may not be eligible, but he's still going to be there, and you're going to see a sniffer back, as you want to call it, that may not be eligible. It's just fun to watch, and I'm looking forward to that experience on Friday night, man.
Well, on the flip side, for this offense, like we said, have seen some progress here through this first 3 weeks, but this is going to be a good challenge for them because it's a Tipton team. Last week the challenge was Williamsburg threw a bunch of different fronts, blitzes, stunts, everything, and so that offensive line had to talk. This is a group that they're just athletic and physical, and they're not afraid to stick their shoulder on you and make those tackles. So you're going to have to basically scrap and fight for every yard that you get. And
as I mentioned with Gavin, the coming of age comment is he's now learning a little bit more when he sees, okay, I got 7 in the box on defense. Maybe I should be looking out here to pass it to this guy or over here to this guy. Oh, there's 5 in the box, maybe 6 in the box. Yeah, we're going to stick with maybe a run here and there, picking the right numbers. Mm-hmm. But Tipton has those numbers, but they'll sneak guys in on you when you're not paying attention. That's defense. That's misdirection. You got misdirection on offense. That's misdirection on defense. And by the end of the night, you're going to think, wow, what just happened? Because we thought this, but you saw other things that you didn't see maybe on tape. That's game planning, and I think Tipton's going to do that because they want nothing more than to beat West Branch and have a 3-1 record going into their offseason play, and to beat West Branch for the first time since the 1980s. I mean, this is the biggest game they have on their schedule.
Up until this point.
Yeah.
This week is always the biggest one on the schedule.
Every game you play is the biggest one. That's good. He's a good guy. That's why he's $8.
So, yeah, it's Cedar County rivalry. Our first game, they've already taken care of North Cedar and Durant. So, they're trying to get themselves into the driver's seat for that Cedar County trophy. But the Bears looking to do the same thing. There is JV ahead of it, so we will have a 7:30 scheduled kickoff. Means we'll have coverage starting with the Bearcast pregame at 7 o'clock, and look forward to all of the action there. Big thank you to EMS Detergent Services and Main Street Suites, our sponsors for our weekly previews as we get ready for week number 4, and you can catch it all right here at westbranchfootball.com.